And hello everyone! Welcome to episode 2 of Ongoing Titles. Still the same poor camera quality, same poor audio quality, just the same topics though. Well, actually different this time. So this episode, I'm thinking, I'm just going to talk about my week. A little more of my day since I just recorded my first episode yesterday. And I'm really excited about this series. I know it's not the best, but hey, you know what? I'm excited. I'm going to pump out content while I can. Not going to promise a regular schedule. We're going to try to get these out at least once a week from each other, preferably more often, but I want to have at most about a week between uploads. But with that being said, let's start the episode. And you know what? Today I'm wearing my red belt because I'm talking about a book I just finished today, the Communist Manifesto. I wish I was joking. So, today, well, actually, over the past about week and a half, I have been getting more and more into audiobooks. I completed The Hobbit, like I mentioned last episode, and that spiraled onto a conversation about D&D. But today, specifically, I completed the Communist Manifesto and Sun-tzu's Art of War. Why those two? Because why the hell not? I mean, Sun-tzu's Art of War, only about an hour long. So, you know what? I decided, hey, it's an hour long. It's bragging rights. That's just straight up bragging rights. Like, if anything comes up in conversation, you can throw that in. It's like, you know what? Hey, cool little thing. Look, I'm well read. It's an hour long audiobook. I'm well read. Not the point. Either way, it was really damn boring. Art of War. It's a lot of it is it's Battlefield's tactics, and that's what you expect. But a lot of stuff that, if you know anything about just how to strategize in general, not specifically war stuff, but just how to strategize, it should be second nature. Like, for example, it was talking about how terrain and how what you want to do is make your opponent think you can strike from anywhere, so they spread out their forces. So that way they're not strong in a specific spot, but instead weak everywhere. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of common sense if you think about strategy for a little bit. You want to have your opponent spread out their forces so they can't attack you as well. Or another aspect was you want to always give your enemies an out besides just death. Because if a person's fighting to their death, they'll give it their all. If they have an out, they won't give it everything they have because they still have their life to protect. So, the book, it was okay. I don't really recommend it. I recommend just looking up a summary on each point. Points are super short, and honestly, you just need to read like 2 sentences, and you're like, oh, I get it. But if you want to have that bragging rights to read the book, it's an hour long if you listen to the audiobook. The 13 points, if you actually sit down and read it, I'm sure will take you maybe 30 minutes. Not to mention a lot of it is just repeating the same points over and over again. So, yeah. Sun-tzu Art of War. It's a book. It's about strategy. Don't really recommend it. If you're interested, do it for bragging rights. 1 second, y'all. If you're watching... Sorry about that if there was an audio spike. My cat just hopped on the table. Well, so yeah. Moving on, we have the Communist Manifesto, which I just completed today. Now, in case you're wondering why I decided to read the Communist Manifesto, it's for a few reasons. Growing up, I held very, very conservative beliefs, and since then they became a lot more, I guess, I don't want to say liberal, I don't like that term, but I don't want to say socialist either, although I do consider myself that. That's not the point of this stream. This is not podcast. This is not meant to be a political podcast. But either way, growing up from being in a very conservative town, conservative ideology, and shifting away from that, I figured, you know what? This book all my life has been demonized by just about every single person I knew, but none of them read it. I haven't read it, yet I used to demonize it. Let's just read it and see. So I did, and honestly, I mean, do I believe everything in it? No. Do I agree with some of its points? Yeah. But should it be demonized? No, 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 no. It's really not that extreme when you look into the book itself. So, for example, it talks about abolishing private property. Horrible idea, I would agree. Except the way it's private property is defined in the book itself and repeated multiple times to nail in this is the definition we are referring to is anything that creates more capital. Okay, what's capital? Anything that produces more money. Think of it like this. Most things you own wouldn't be considered private property under communism in Marx in the Communist Manifesto. Again, I don't agree with the book overall, but like it's just I just want to talk about it. Either way, so as I was saying, like your car wouldn't really be considered capital or private property. All my D&D books that wouldn't be considered private property. Hell, with how the housing market is going, that is considered capital right now, but back when he wrote it, not really. I mean, he did advertise for her like public ownership of all land, which that's like I said, I don't agree with all the points, but for the most part, everything you own, with the exception of maybe if you own the house, most people are renting nowadays, so even that is up for grabs, wouldn't be taken away. And that's one thing that was always demonized growing up, was like that specific talking point. And now that I've actually read the book that I came from, I think it's demonized more than it should be, if I'm being honest. Like I said, I don't believe in everything in it. I like to think of myself more left leaning, but I definitely don't agree with everything in it. I don't think we need a revolution to have such massive change. I don't think we should abolish all private property, even as defined by Marx. But I don't get why it's so demonized. Like, goddamn. Like, and also, y'all, if you're interested, read it yourself or look up a summary. The summary hits the point of the book pretty well. It's a pretty short book, honestly. Took me about 2.5 hours to listen to when I was listening to the audiobook. Maybe a bit less because I was listening on a faster speed. But really, it's a short book if you're actually interested in it, or if you yourself use it as, hey, communism's bad because I want to do this and this and this. Basically, if you care about political discussion, and if that political discussion ever, even if it's just used as an attack, saying like, hey, that's communist and that's bad, I'd say give it a read or listen to a summary. It's not, like I said, I don't agree with a lot of it, but if someone uses that as an attack against you, there's a high chance they haven't read it themselves and they're just repeating a talking point. So actually knowing the content of it, it will allow you to, if you're the one receiving that attack, to better be prepared, be essentially just, yeah, no, that's not what it is, as define it, and you can just basically be like, ha, facts and logics get destroyed, loser. Or if you're using it to attack someone, now you have read through it, you know what's in it, and you can be, okay, well, you know what? How about well, with that, as stated in the Communist Manifesto, means this, and it is the next course of action. And so, like, if you, I recommend reading it if you want to use it in any political argument. Otherwise, honestly, yeah, if you want to be any political argument, I recommend listening to it. If you don't give a dang about, I'm trying not to cuss as much in this one. Didn't cuss much last time, but I just want to get out of the habit of cussing. But if you just don't care about politics, reading a political book isn't going to change your mind on politics. I'll be honest. But yeah, moving away from those two fun topics, war and communism, let's move on to something a bit lighter. Although, in my opinion, it wasn't too heavy of a topic. I hope not. But either way, moving on to something more, a bit lighter. I have a half marathon in about 2 weeks. And I'm so excited for that. I've been training really hard. I didn't get to train today because I got really busy after work, so I didn't get to get my 8K in. I'm hoping tomorrow I can, assuming it's not too cold out, it's supposed to rain, so I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm planning on getting in a half marathon in again and just continue training a little bit. After that next half marathon while training, I'm planning on taking it easy for about a week, doing mostly calisthenic stuff, doing some light running just to keep myself active, because at that point, a week before, I want to keep all my exercise really light. I want to keep it more like, if I'm going to go hard, I'm going to go hard on everywhere besides my legs, because I need my legs to be fully recovered and super strong. But yeah, I'm excited for my half marathon race. It's going to be in San Francisco across the Golden Gate Bridge. And for my first race, how cool is that? I mean, like, I've been running for a while, been about a year and a half, but having my first race be across the Golden Gate Bridge, that's just, I don't know, something about it just seems so cool. It's like this year and a half I've been spending just running for fun. These past 3 months I've been running specifically to get faster with my half marathon. Just being able to go from being this heavier set kid who would get winded after honestly about a quarter mile downhill, to now about trying to run a half marathon in about 2 weeks, and with my goal, I'm not saying I'm going to get this, but my goal of being under 2 hours. My record half marathon is like 2 hours 2 minutes, or 2 hours 2 seconds, depending on if you look at Strava or look at Zombies Run. The Zombies Run is a bit longer. That's the 2 hours 2 minutes. Well, Strava said 2 hours 2 seconds. So yeah, take that as you will. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, my goal is to run it under 2 hours. And I'm so excited, and especially since I do live in the mountains, I'm hoping that gives me enough of an edge where when I'm down there. The hills, I can tank them because I have to run the hills here all the time. And since it'll be at going from a high elevation, don't want to say my exact elevation, but between 5,000 and 8,000, that's going to be the range I give for this, because I'm sure over time y'all will figure out where I live, but I just don't want to make it that easy. But yeah, going from high-ish elevation to sea level for running, and going from training all hills to it being a few hills then mostly flat. Well, not mostly flat, it's San Francisco, but a lot flatter. I'm so excited. And I'm thinking that might just give me just enough of an edge. Just enough to actually zoom by and break that under 2 hours. Not expecting to win. I would need to run in like an hour 20 to even consider that, really. Honestly, you could probably consider that under an hour 30, because I'm sure if you're under an hour 30, you do half marathons professionally at that point. But not the point. Baby steps here. We're still, well, I shouldn't even say baby steps. That makes it sound like a half marathon's easy. It's very doable for me, but I've also been doing this for a while. Actually, I would say it's very doable for anyone. Just you have to give yourself some time to build up to it. And that goes for anything to do with working out, I'd say, is feel free to be below what is supposed to be beginner. That's how I got started. When I started doing some calisthenics, I couldn't do a push-up. I could barely do like more than 10 incline push-ups. That's the one where your arms are on a thing higher up like a stool, which is easier. And I remember the way I trained that up was I trained until I could do 2 sets of 50 of raw push-ups. You know, the ones where it feels super easy. Pretty easy. Most people can do that. Do that for 2 sets of 50. Then after that, if you can do that, doesn't have to be easy, but you can do that and do it without having to really stop, besides obviously the 60 seconds between the 2 sets. Move on to push-ups on your knees. Same deal. 2 sets of 50. Then after that, move on to incline push-ups. And once you feel confident in there, just lower it till you're flat, and then boom, now you're doing push-ups. And that's how I started. And most people, when they start doing push-ups, they're like, "Oh, I can't even do one. How am I supposed to get this better?" Feel free to go below the beginner exercises. Do like a dead bug crawl, which is where you're on your back and you're just basically flailing your arms and legs heads to work out. Do that for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. If you haven't worked out before, that's going to be difficult. Once you train up, that's below beginner. That's 9-minute warm up. But allow yourself to be at that poor of a stage if you want to start working out. Allow yourself to be below beginner. I had to be there, and I'm sure the majority of people who work out had to start there. Also, if you hate working out, there's one thing I highly recommend. If you want to get more cardio in, download Zombies Run. I love that app to all hell. I've been using it since like 2 days after I started running, and I still use it. Obviously, they haven't sponsored me. I'm saying that mostly because they are a small team. I don't know if they could afford actual sponsorship, even if they wanted to. Plus, also, this is my second episode, and I'm not going to get a sponsor on the second episode. But Zombies Run, amazing app. Amazing storyline. You can hear the passion in the voice actors' voices. You can, there's a strong story. You can run it for free. You get a few missions for free at the start and then a free mission every week. Or you can do a subscription, which is like $35 for a full year, and you get well over 1,000 missions. And if you like the story, they are worth it. The quality, well, there are dips, and it does dip sometimes and go up other times. Overall, if you like it from the start, and you're like, I like this, but I'm not sure if it will stay as good, it will. I highly recommend it. Or if running is not your thing, but you still want something more interactive for your workouts, I also recommend Zombies Run because they have the Homefront missions. It's about 35 missions. I believe they're all free. I know the first 10 are, but I believe they're all free. And they're essentially at-home workouts that you're meant to take at your own rate. And hell, that's actually where I started doing calisthenics. And that's a great way to build up if you are building up from nothing. And it even coaches you through like, hey, if you feel like it, continue through this music section with that exercise. But if you need a breather, take a breather. Just try to keep moving if you can. And I love that because it's so beginner friendly. But once you get past being a beginner, it lets you challenge yourself. It says, keep going if you can keep going. And as you progress through the 35 missions, they get a little bit harder each time. Just a little bit, not by much. You're not going to ever be able to do one amazing one day and the next one just came and get through like the first 2 missions. First 2 exercises. It's never that sudden. But that little increase and it will slowly shift from, hey, keep going, if you can, to being more like, hey, keep going. It's not done yet. Here's the music. And I love that transition because it's so subtle that you don't even notice it until you're towards the end of the series and you look back and you're like, oh, these home fronts changed. I'm doing stuff I couldn't even imagine doing at the beginning. And it's such a slow build that you don't even notice it until you look back. And then when you look back, you feel amazing because you haven't seen the progress till then, and then boom, it hits you with a lot of progress. And yeah, I love Zombies Run, and I can easily go on and on about the storyline in itself. It's not just, oh, zombies behind you, speed up. There's obviously that, but there's collecting supplies for the township, the people in the township, and the connection between them. There's something going on with a group named Necrophile, which is a like terrorist group, but it's not covered too much, so it's kind of secretive, and if you pay attention and put a few things together, and they're not the only other faction. There's like New Canton, which maybe you're enemies, maybe you're not. Again, I'm not going to say the story he, who knows, might be an enemies to lovers situation. Um, there's bird settlement if you listen to the races, which do require a higher subscription tier. And I'll be honest, don't go with the VIP like race included subscription unless you really want to support Zombies Run specifically, because it's like double the price for the subscription for like 12 missions. I don't recommend it unless you really want to support Zombies Run, because if you do love Zombies Run like I do, it's worth it to sometimes upgrade, run those missions, and then go back to normal. But if you're just kind of like, it's okay, I do it once in a while, then yeah, don't do that subscription. Keep with just the normal one. But yeah, I love Zombies Run. And this is a mask from them. I also have a shirt. I love them. But yeah. I also, as it says on here, I am Runner 5. You are Runner 5 in the storyline. That's what they call you, and honestly, you get attached to that name so damn fast. To the point where if I ever have to choose, like, my number for something, I always go with 5 if possible, unless there's something obviously better. Because you go attached to that title, honestly, of Runner number 5. Legionnaire number 5 if you do the side adventures that are completely separate storylines, like Rule Britannia, and the newest one, I haven't ran it yet. It's like Pax Germania, which is a continuation, and both are set during the Roman Empire. Or if you want sci-fi, hey, they have several sci-fi themed ones. You like history? Here's a few runs. Either A, themed off of historical events like Jack the Ripper, or B, are directly tied to historical events, where it's more of, hey, here's the adventure of Lewis and Clark. While you run this 10K, every time you hit a K, we'll tell you a little bit further of where they are in their journey. And not just tell you, but we'll kind of treat it like a radio play. Hey, or if you're into sciencey stuff, they have like Journey to the Center of the Eye, where it teaches you about exactly how the eye works. Or it's like Mount Olympus, which is the biggest mountain on Mars, and it'll walk you through facts about that mountain every kilometer. Honestly, Zombies Run, if you want to get more into running, I cannot recommend it enough. It's amazing. It works so well. There might be a few issues with it pausing and unpausing your music, so you might have to just quickly click pause or click unpause, but other than that, I haven't really had any issues with it. The chases, if you don't like them, you can disable them with the subscription. You can change their frequency and how intense they are. By default, it's about 3 times an hour, though sometimes when you have it set to that, it'll have more or less. That's part of it. It's meant to be random. But yeah, you can turn that off if you want. They have a little side section for building up your own little township. It's just an amazing app. I can go on and on for hours about it. I don't want to spoil the story at all, because I really, really want people to do it. And, well, it's just as entertaining if you know what's going to happen. It's even better when you don't. You run through it, and then you decide to go back and do your old mission, and you see the foreshadowing. That's the best feeling when you run it. And yeah, they're also always coming out with new missions, new, like, alternative universe type ones, where they just released Pax Germania, which is a continuation of the Roman alternative. They released Godmaker, which is a more fantasy-based one. They released, it was like, Spell something. Either way, that's a wholly unique one where it's like, haha, Renaissance Fair, cool stuff, and then an actual wizard fight breaks out, and it follows that little storyline for like 2 missions. I love it. They have something for everyone. If you want to get more into running, do it. If you want to get more into workouts in general, just like mostly calisthenics, the Homefront is a good start. I don't recommend it solely for Homefront. I do feel like Homefront is a little weak. But if you use Homefront alongside with the main, like, actual running aspect, then it's worth it. I'm almost done with all 35 Homefront missions. I have 3 more left. I might do one tonight since I couldn't get my run in. I'm deciding between doing either one of those missions or trying to do a VR workout, since I do like VR. I do sometimes play in VR. And Blade and Sorcery, I think they just released a new dungeon update. I haven't seen too much on it. So if they did, I'll probably do that for a little while tonight, or I'll do the workout, or I might just be lazy and do neither. We'll see. But yeah, and that's going to be the end of episode 2 of Ongoing Titles. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know what you think. I'm not going to beg for likes and comments and subscribe. I just want to know what you think. I don't care if you like. I don't care if you subscribe. That'd be nice. I don't care too much. I do really want to hear feedback, though. I want to know what I can improve, if you guys enjoy my ramblings, if there's something you want me to ramble about, anything. I don't know if you noticed, but this time I actually got all my D&D books back in place. So what I was referring to last episode about having more than what was there, now you can see. And yeah, that concludes episode 2. Have a wonderful day, y'all, and a wonderful night, whatever time it is for, well, wherever you are.